All right, all brothers remove their head coverings. All sisters pray with their heads covered. And we face the east towards Jerusalem.
Our Father, Yahweh, Elohim, the Allah of Abraham, Yashak, and Yaakov. Covenant Father, Elohim of Yasharah, we thank you, Yahweh, once again for bringing us into your third day, allowing us to gather, Yah, to come together and sup together out of your word, Yahweh, and we understand that man lives not on bread alone, but every word that proceeds out of your mouth. So we ask that you identify those to us, Yahweh, so that we can see the significance in these things, Yahweh, so that we could fine-tune our walk on this narrow path, Yahweh, and be able to seek righteous counsel from all your servants that you have out here in the world, Yahweh. For we understand you can use any vessel, Yahweh, to guide and direct the steps of your servants, Yahweh. We also ask that you allow us to retain this so that we can provide righteous counsel also for your brothers and sisters that be in the dark, that are also looking to find their way towards the light, Yahweh. So, Yahweh, thank you for this opportunity to come together, and we ask that you allow your spirit to reside with us, Yahweh, so that we may rightly divide these scriptures, Yahweh, and put away those wives' fables and tales, Yahweh, and focus on those things that are of truth, Yahweh, that can help lead us back to your promises that you left before us, Yahweh. Yeah, all these things we thank you, pray not only for us, but for all the viewers and all the listeners and all those that couldn't join, but Yahweh, that also keep your commandments on their mind day and night, Yahweh, as they meditate, trying and waiting to return back home. Yah, these things we thank through Yahshua HaMashiach. Amen.
Amen. Righteous counsel.
All right, shalom. My name is Yadon Yasharah with my brother Yangtu Yasharah. Shalom. And the title of today's Bible study is Righteous Counsel. Righteous Counsel. And one thing that we'll learn from studying the scriptures is that no man has the power to retain the spirit at all times. So in understanding that no man has the power to retain all the spirit, knowing that we will eventually get caught in the flesh at some given moment, either through lust of the flesh or, a very traumatic instance, anger, all different plethora of things that we go through in our daily lives that can cause us to stumble a little bit. So we're going to have to depend on other brothers and sisters around us that also walk with the Spirit, that may have the Spirit at that time, the Spirit of counsel, the Spirit of truth. To be able to talk to us and guide us. And sometimes all we need is just somebody to put our focus back away from the pain and the suffering and the carnal situation we're dealing with and to get back into the spiritual. But everybody got an opinion. The people that got the most opinions about what we should do pertaining to this word be people that don't even read the word. But how are you going to know that? Because somebody can come with great swelling words and speak some nice, great thing that sounds good, like half of these memes out there that look great. They look like great counsel until you put it in action. So we want to learn how to take righteous counsel. Not only to take, but we also have to learn how to give righteous counsel and be able to counsel other brothers and sisters in their times of need without always counseling on opinion and our experience. Because our opinion and our experience may have been valid at that time, but we haven't necessarily lived out the end of that to see how that works out. But we can see the end of this word and see how that works out, and we can give righteous counsel based on that. And we have to trust that, and we have to walk according to that so that other people can see also when you take that righteous counsel, what is the end of that matter. So we're going to take a look at that. Let's first open up in Galatians chapter 4. Galatians chapter 4. Because we're approaching this great tribulation that is supposed to come upon us, with times that are worse than man has seen in the history of the world. And if you are still trying to figure out, who you should listen to and where you should go, and if you waiting on Yahweh to come down and talk to you himself, it's going to be very trying times for you. So you want to be in a position where you have enough foundation to know what sources should I listen to. And it's not only just people, but books or documents or whatever, and be able to read that. I heard a sister that she commented on one of the videos. She said that Paul's just so confusing to her. She's like, he just confuses me. And I told the sister, well, you got to go back and read the law. If you get in the law and understand the law and understand that the person talking was a trained Pharisee that learned from one of the most knowledgeable Pharisees, Gamaliel, of his time. So the things that he's saying, he's rooted in the law. And Hamashiach just opened that up and magnified that a little bit. And when you magnify something, it's not going to make it something different. It's going to just show you more details in something. So it can be confusing if you don't know the law to begin with. And then you got all this Greek and English and the way they switch things around to lead you to push a certain doctrine. It can get confusing. But if you understand this is somebody that spoke according to the law, then when he says something, you'll look at it from the perspective of how is this in line with the law. And then now it starts to make sense when he opens it up. So let's open up in Galatians chapter 4, and we'll start this at verse 1.
Now I say that the heir, as long as he is a child, differs nothing from a servant, though he be owner of all, but is under tutors and governors until the time appointed of the Father. Even so we, when we were children, were in bondage under the elements of the world. But when the fullness of the time was come, Yahweh sent forth his Son, made of a woman, made under the law, to redeem them that were under the law, that we might receive the adoption of sons.
All right, so even the heir, and that is us, we are heirs to the kingdom, to the throne. That's us as the body. We differ nothing from a servant. And then we be servants on top of that. We servants of the Most High. So we're going to be under tutelage. We're going to be under teachers. So to think that you just going to approach this where you just going to get on YouTube and learn everything yourself without having the study or the counsel for somebody who's been doing this a little bit longer, that's foolish. Because even the heir has to be trained from a child to understand these things. Now, you might not be trained in everything in this book, but you better get some kind of foundation. You're not going to see one professional fighter, one professional athlete, one basketball player, whoever. They just went out there and just played and just won the gold medal. Or a track star that I'm fast. I went out there and ran. He's being trained. He's being taught. He's receiving tutelage. So we have to humble ourselves and not think that Yah going to teach us in our mind alone, which he's going to do that as well. He's going to allow us to understand things, but he's going to use servants. If he was going to talk to everybody individually and teach us that way, then he would have never created priests or servants or teachers.
Verse 6. And because you are sons, Yahweh sent forth the Spirit of his Son into your hearts, crying, Abba, Father. Wherefore you are no more a servant, but a son, and if a son, then an heir of Yahweh through Mashiach. Howbeit then, when you knew not Yahweh, you did service unto them by nature, are no gods. But now, after you have known Elohim, or rather are known of Elohim, how turn you again to the weak and beggarly elements, whereunto you desire again to be in bondage? You observe days and months and times and years. I am afraid of you, lest I have bestowed upon you labor in vain.
All right, so when it's talking about observing these days, times, months, and years, these are the gods, the pagan gods and the rituals they had associated with all these different things. All these holidays that got nothing to do with Yahweh. Those are the beggarly elements that we used to keep. That's what he's talking about. He's not talking about, oh, you're going back to keeping the holy days of Yah and keeping a Shabbat. No, he's not talking about that. He's talking about all the idol worship, things that man made up. Go ahead.
And the things we're doing in the region of Galatia.
Exactly.
Verse 11. I am afraid on you, lest I have bestowed upon you labor in vain. Brethren, I beseech you, be as I am, for I am as you are. You have not injured me at all. You know how through infirmity of the flesh I preached the good news to you at the first, and my temptation was in my flesh. You despised me not, nor rejected, but received me as an angel of Elohim, even as Mashiach Yeshua. Where is then the blessedness you speak of? For I bear you record that if it had been possible, you would have plucked out your own eyes and given them to me. Am I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth? They zealously affect you, but not well. Yea, they would exclude you that you might affect them. But it is good to be zealously affected always in a good thing, and not only when I am present with you. My little children, of whom I travail in birth again until Mashiach be formed in you, I desire to be present with you now, and to change my voice, for I stand in doubt of you. Tell me, you that desire to be under the law, do you hear the law? For it is written that Abraham had 2 sons, the one by a bondmaid, the other by a free woman.
All right, and if we go back here, verse 16, am I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth? And this is something that we have to be prepared to deal with. When somebody comes to you for counsel, a lot of times they come to you because they think they're going to hear what they want to hear. And when they find out, wait a minute, you telling me about things that I don't want to hear. You telling me that I need to change. You telling me that I'm wrong. Then you become an enemy to them because they don't want to hear that. Now, some people will come to you because they know you're going to tell them what they don't want to hear. And those are the ones that won't make you an enemy, but they will deal with the truth. So we have to be prepared to lose a friend in order to save their life, because you tell them stuff that they don't want to hear. But when they come out of that spirit, if they come out of that spirit and come back to the truth, they're going to know who their true friends are. They're going to know who their true family is. Those that were willing to put their comfortability and their friendship and their jovial times and social times to the side in order to do the best for somebody.
Verse 23, but he who was of the bondwoman was born after the flesh, but he of the free woman was by promise. Which things are an allegory, for these are the 2 covenants. The one from the Mount Sinai, which genders to bondage, which is Hagar. For this Hagar is Mount Sinai in Arabia, and answers to Jerusalem, which is now in bondage with her children. But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all. For it is written, rejoice, you barren that bear not. Break forth and cry, you that travail not. For the desolate has many more children than she which has a husband. Now we, brethren, as Yitzchak, are the children of promise. But as then he that was born after the flesh persecuted him that was born after the spirit, even so it is now. Nevertheless, what says the scripture? Cast out the bondwoman and her son, for the son of the bondwoman shall not be heir with the son of the free woman. So then, brethren, we are not children of the bondwoman, but of the free.
All right, so, but as then he that was born after the flesh persecuted him that was born after the spirit, even so it is now. And that's also something that we have to deal with in the world. Until somebody is regenerated and reborn into a different frame of thinking, they're going to persecute you for presenting the truth. Even if it's not pertaining to them, just speaking it will cause them to feel uncomfortable with their state, because ultimately they know that this is the truth. They can feel it. It's in their DNA. It's already been given to them as being part of the nation. And when they hear it, it will make them uncomfortable, because now it's causing them to look at themselves. This is why people like to do their dirt in the dark, so they don't have to look at the deeds that they're doing. They know it's wrong. So this is something that we have to deal with in giving counsel. We have to be prepared to be persecuted by somebody that is walking in the actions of darkness. That's our job. We are the witnesses. We are the servants of the Most High. This is our duty to our nation first, and then the rest of the world. All right, let's move on. Let's go to Mishlei chapter 1. Proverbs chapter 1. And you can tell a lot about an individual by the counsel that they give, as well as the counsel that they take. Because if you have an individual that is trying to figure out what they want to do, and they go to worldly people in the world, like, man, F that chick. Don't worry about her. You know, do what you want to do. Go out here and have fun. And they're like, you know what, you're right. I need to do that. Then you already know this person is just trying to satisfy the flesh. He's not trying to hear nothing spiritual. And then now you have an individual that's doing that, that's out there messing around, doing all this stuff. And then a spiritual brother comes to say, bro, you know what you're doing? You realize it's the future of your nation? You realize what you're doing to your temple? You realize what you're doing to Yahweh's children, his daughter? Then he might say, you know what, I never thought about it that way, you know? And he might receive it, and you realize this is just somebody that needs a little direction. Just needs to be around people that may keep him away from the same things we struggle with, the flesh.
Indeed.
So Proverbs, Mishlei, chapter 1. And we're going to start this at verse 1.
The Proverbs of Shlomo, the son of Dawid, king of Yasharal. To know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment and equity, to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels.
All right, so this is what this wisdom, instruction, knowledge, and understanding is for. Is to give subtlety, which is prudence, to the simple, which is the less educated, to the young man, knowledge and discretion, because experience hasn't taught him that, hey, you keep doing this, this is what it's going to result in. So that's what the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is for, is to prevent the, you know, certain people. I know one of my biggest hangups is I learned through experience. I learned, okay, yeah, that's how you bust your head. Oh, that's how you get punched in the mouth. Oh, this is how you slip. This is how you spend all your money. And then I'm like, I become wise counselor to people, can tell them this stuff. But we shouldn't have to learn that way. Once we create this new entity that we have, we should be able to learn from this book and learn from the commandments, the law and the lamp, the law of the light. We should be able to learn from that and not have to go through these things to be like, yeah, that's true. Trust me, I did it. Go ahead.
Verse 6.
No question on that. Just want to ask that, brother. Yes, we shouldn't have to learn that way, but there's two different understandings of that. For one, we should learn what Yahweh said in Scripture, and by looking at others in the world who do not follow Yahweh, see the mistake that they made and say, well, you know, I don't want to make that mistake. Let me learn from that mistake that person made, so I don't fall into that same problem. If I see something very similar to that, I'll maybe Yahweh allow me to think back on what I saw, that I can say, okay, it's not exactly the same, but I see the results might be the same. So maybe I need to, you know, take that golden nugget that Yahweh gave me a while back, you know, and get smart about it, you know, and don't fall into that same trap and mistake or do something even worse than that person did and cause an error in my life and injure somebody else, you know.
Right.
For another thing is, after we have learned the problems that we have to fall into that situation and then get our head busted or something like that, get our behinds beat, you know, after a problem that we didn't want to pay attention to, then we should learn from it and not fall into that same hole again.
Right.
You know, then we can also be good counselor to somebody and say, yeah, I went through that. I fall into that hole before, but I started coming around the mountain again and didn't fall in that hole. So I'm kind of advising you, trying to counsel you to make a decision whether if you see that hole coming, this is what it kind of looks like. Try not to fall into that hole. If you do, get out that hole as fast as you can and don't make it worse.
Right.
You know. So I just wanted to get that information out because, you know, we make those mistakes a lot. You know, and if we don't have our brothers and sisters trying to pick us off the floor and help us and not trying to stick their finger in your eye, you know, I told you so type thing, but help our brothers, maybe we'll learn better and not have so much bitterness in our hearts, you know, and help somebody else, you know, come out that same problem.
Right. Right. You know, and inevitably with youth comes the hard-headedness, where, you know, you talk to the younger brothers and you try to say, trust me, I've done this. This is not going to work. And then, you know, everyone says the same thing. Well, I'm different. You know, that's you. That happened to you. That ain't going to happen to me.
Right.
But fundamentally, we can kind of see the direction. But that's when you're a youth. When you're a child, you do childish things. But when you become a man, you put away childish things. So as we become more spiritually mature in the word, we shouldn't have to learn as much by falling or watching somebody else fall, but be able to accept the instruction and avoid certain things before they happen. Now, does that mean we're going to be able to do that all the time? No. But our brain should be reformed to that type of thinking where I'm going to arm myself with the righteous instructions and do my best to walk according to that, versus the old man that said, I'm going to do what I want to do and you'll see how it works out.
Mm-hmm. Brother, we know, you know, our example, Yahshua, he said, I came into the world to say that you could live life more abundantly.
Right.
And what he did is kind of just like open up the stuff that y'all already said and help us to be profitable instead of just breaking even all the time.
Right.
And what that's done personally for me is that I realized that it just opened up a whole nother world of, you know, you come across people who you realize are like doing everything to get closer to Yah, to get as much of that abundance that Yahshua released unto us. Like, yeah, you're living into this level, but go past that, go beyond that, actually become a student, you know, a warrior of peace, so to speak, and like seek these things out. And then he also said, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. So in one hand, you know, you read Old Testament and you realize, okay, there's people that try to do righteously. You know, you had Job that, you know, eschewed evil. And then you had Yahshua pretty much confirm, like, yeah, the way Job was doing it was right. You eschew evil and you seek peace. You pursue it with all your heart. And you realize that whole world of other people who are doing it like monks. Right. You know, like they made it their life's purpose to read Proverbs and read books of wisdom and like understand how to live this life and get the most out of it before transitioning into the afterlife, so to speak, or as we all know, the kingdom of Zion, where Yah is actually giving us our reward for the life we live now. So you have people that don't know that there's a reward, that we're going to get a reward after all of this, and we're judged by all our deeds. And you have those who know and are purposely seeking to get as much reward after this life as possible. So instead of us like kind of being pushed by every wind and, oh, I guess I'll just seek righteousness tomorrow. Oh, if somebody righteous comes into my life, maybe I might try to be more
deliberate.
Yeah, you want to actually be deliberate. Like when you're playing a video game and it says all the hidden packages are here, all the extra lives are here, you deliberately go for it. Right. But now the word is in the scriptures like seek unto wisdom. If you see a man is wise, wear the steps of his, what does it say? Wear the steps of his doorstep or something like that. Like if you see a man with wisdom, wear out his doorstep. Like
make plenty visits.
Like sell everything to gain wisdom. These are things that Yah tries to remove us from our carnal nature. Like, okay, throw away all that old stuff you used to do, seeking the pleasures of the flesh. Don't be like we read in Galatians, don't be in bondage to those things anymore. And change your nature and actually seek me. You know, seek all my righteousness and everything that comes with it, and watch how much more I can give you in this life, and then leave for you to leave for the other generations after you. Like there's so much more to gain.
You know, the spirit is eternal. Why would you bound yourself to this flesh in the restrictions of the flesh?
Yes.
You know, and Yahshua was like trying to like, look, man, don't you realize what you can do with your spirit? This is nothing. The things that I do is nothing. You're gonna got greater things you're gonna be doing, but we don't trust it because all that they're pushing is carnal, and we're taking that counsel from TV that if I do this, if I seek this. You know, if I be this strong black woman that just gets this education and puts family way down, then, you know, I'll have a Mercedes-Benz in a house, an empty house, and a baby daddy. Typically, that's how things can end up. If you let TV counsel you in how to live your life, instead of using, like some of the elders said, some of the examples of the people before us that had great families and had great lives, still were able to amass certain things. But they put family first and they ordered things.
Seek ye the kingdom, he'll add all that extra stuff that we like.
Exactly.
Verse 6. To understand the proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark sayings. The fear of Yahweh is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. My son, hear the instruction of your father and forsake not the law of your mother.
All right, so we just read, we know the Father, call no man your father. There's only one Father, which is in heaven. So this is the Holy Father. So that's the instruction of your father, spiritually. And forsake not the law of your mother. We just said who the mother was. We just read that in Galatians chapter 4. Jerusalem, which is the mother of us all. Your assembly. The laws of your assembly, the righteous, movement that you have. So some things aren't necessarily a law, Torah. But if you're part of a community and this is a way of doing things that promotes peace, then don't forsake that. Don't forsake that. Now, obviously, you have right and liberty to do what you need to do. When you step out of the assembly, you do what you need to do. But when you step in the assembly, adhere to those laws of that assembly. Don't bring that disobedience into there unless following that law is going to cause you to be transgressing in some kind of way. Go ahead.
Verse 9. For they shall be an ornament of grace unto your head and chains about your neck. My son, if sinners entice you, consent you not. If they say, come with us, let us lay wait for blood. Let us lurk privily for the innocent without cause.
And how do you consent to sinners that entice you?
By going with them or not even letting them know what they're doing is wrong.
Exactly. You consent. If they say, bruh, we finna go kill this dude, and you just be like this. You don't say nothing. You didn't be like, yeah. You just be like, you consented. If they got you on camera, you going to jail. You an accomplice. You didn't say something like, oh, wait a minute. No. We'll kill. Thou shalt not kill. No. You're going to go to jail. You're going to go to the lake of fire doing that. You done consented. And this is what we have to teach our young men, because when they become fathers and become husbands, they can silently consent to the wife bounding her soul to some foolishness that's going to affect her children and her family. So we have to get in the habit of not being consenting to wickedness. Regardless, you can't control that man what he can do, but you can tell him, bro, I ain't with it. You saw the prophets, you saw the righteous men in this book when they ripped their clothes up, they put on sackcloth, they put ashes on their head, they let the world know, look, I ain't with this. Go ahead.
Verse 12, let us swallow them up alive as the grave and whole as those that go down into the pit. We shall find all precious substance. We shall fill our houses with spoil. Cast in your lot among us. Let us all have one purse. My son, walk you not in the way of them. Refrain your foot from their path. For their feet run to evil and make haste to shed blood. Surely in vain the net is spread in the sight of any bird. And they lay wait for their own blood. They lurk privily for their own lives. So are the ways of everyone that is greedy of gain, which takes away the life of the owners thereof. Wisdom cries without. She utters her voice in the streets. She cries in the chief place of concourse, in the openings of the gates. In the city she utters her words, saying, how long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you. Behold, I have called and you refused. I have stretched out my hand and no man regarded. But you have set at naught all my counsel and would have none of my reproof. I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear comes.
Because we gave you the wisdom and understanding. The Most High gave us the word. He gave us the Son. He gave us all of this, and it's there. And he's going to send people to talk to you. He's not going to leave you out there by yourself. What parent does that? That just turns around and leaves their child wandering around like that? A bad parent. A good parent wouldn't. Even a bad parent wouldn't do that unless he's on drugs or something. So what you think the standard bearer for parenthood is going to do. He's going to make sure there's some counsel. You have an auntie, an uncle, a big brother, a big sister, a neighbor, or somebody to speak some. Even them gangsters on the street will speak counsel to you, telling, hey, bro, you don't want this lifestyle. This ain't for you. Go back to school. He'll put righteous counsel on any of these people. But we turn and laugh and mock at this stuff because it ain't the cool thing to do. This is when he's going to laugh and mock at your calamity because you were given his righteous counsel and you rejected it. So now you got to learn a lesson.
Yep. Verse 27, when your fear comes as desolation and your destruction comes as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish comes upon you, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me, for they hated knowledge. For that they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of Yahweh.
And they chose not to reverence Yahweh. They chose not to fear being outside of his blessing and his covering. They chose not to care whether Yah was upset or not, or whether we embarrassed him or blasphemed his name. They didn't care. All they cared about was what they wanted to do. So, for that, Yah ain't going to answer, because you're going to call. Every last one of them call on the Most High. All these other, higher people and all these other names that they use. At the end of the day, when it all comes down to it, they saying Yah when they in trouble. Everybody come back to that. And all these people that are dealing with these other religions and all that stuff, they calling all those gods and everything. And when stuff don't work out, they go right back to the Most High. Every time. Go ahead.
Verse 29, for that they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of Yahweh. They would none of my counsel. They despised all my reproof. Therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way and be filled with their own devices. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. But whoso hearkens unto me shall dwell safely and shall be quiet from fear of evil.
All right. You'll be dwell safely and shall be quiet from the fear of evil, because you know Yah is not going to give you wicked reward for doing righteousness. Now, you might not get what you want. You might have to suffer for righteousness, but in the end, you are going to be rewarded according to your deeds. So you're not fearing all that. And if you know you got a great parent, a great overseer that's taking care of you and takes care of all your needs, you're not worried about whether you're going to eat. If you got a good job, you're not worried about whether your check gonna be on time, because you know you got a decent job or you got a reputable job. It's the same thing with the Most High, but we don't question whether our jobs are gonna pay us or whether Master gonna give us our little 2 cents at the end of the week. We don't question that, but we question Yah all the time.
Aki, these are very comforting words from Shlomo, letting us know a little bit about how to live life more abundantly. And, the scriptures say the reproofs of instruction are the way to life.
Right.
So in the beginning, you may be thinking that life is about one thing, getting money. But then you realize that, okay, if you lack wisdom, you're going to have to rely on the advice others give you, since you don't really know how to judge. But the one thing you can be sure of is that, okay, people, in the multitude of counselors, there's safety. So if you lack wisdom, there's a lot of different principles out of Proverbs that will help you gain the bits and pieces that you need if you feel that you're kind of lost, so to speak.
Right.
But over time, you realize that what Yah is doing is he's molding you so that you could bear more of his light. And that light is understanding. That light is good judgment. That light is kindness. That light is generosity. That light is a consciousness. Mm-hmm. And as you gain more of these things, he shows you how to keep doing that so that you can be a light unto all the world. More so as Yasharal, we're supposed to be a light unto all the nations. Mm-hmm. So these are the things that are our nature. These reproofs of instruction, we need to embrace knowing and learning and growing and bearing more of Yah's light.
Right. And, one thing that really messes us up, one thing we can attest to is every time we try to save some money, put away, try to get this thing that we want, something always come up. Every time. I can remember my parents, same thing. Something always comes up. And the reason why something is always coming up is because we lukewarm. That's why Yah said, I'd rather be hot or cold. If you want to be cold, you don't want to deal with the world, you want to be wicked, you want to get ahead, you want to rob and steal, you can amass great riches. Whether you're going to end up with those riches, that's another story. You can amass great riches. But we want to be lukewarm, where we want to be righteous, but we want to do some of the deeds. We want to put righteousness away some of the time so we can gain things. So we'll get a little bit, but then ultimately it gets taken away and we're just right back to square one. But like you said, seek after the things of the kingdom first and everything will be given unto you. But again, we taking counsel from TV and we taking counsel from perception, that we think that because we see somebody with something and we see what they're doing, that that's what got them where they needed to be. And when we try, it don't work for us. It's that lukewarm stuff. If we want true riches, go after the true riches in heaven. And you'll get those true riches. And you may get that added onto you in this lifetime if you can live with it and walk with it. But you got to make a choice. You can't be lukewarm if you get lukewarm. This is why stuff is always taken for us and we always right there at par. Can never get over that.
Brother, that's good right there. Even verse 32 telling us that the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. So if we seek worldly prosperity, but we're not established in our soul with the precepts of Yah, all that prosperity is going to do is ruin us. But if we put things in this proper rank and proper order, and we seek the kingdom, that means that when we get worldly prosperity, it won't ruin us. It will be like a magnet to plastic. They don't even interfere. Like your spiritual life is one thing, money and riches is another. Whether the money and riches are high and low has no bearing.
Because you don't
on your
care.
spirit.
You don't care about that. Yeah, you like that like any other man, but you have it as long as Yah lets me have it. As long as Yah lets me have it, I'm going to have it. Because it's not going to affect anything on this side. This is my job for the Most High on this right side.
Differentiate holy.
I'm going to do that, period, regardless of what happens on this side. What happens on that side, great. If I got free time after that to work to get in the things that I want, he's going to give that to you.
Indeed.
No problem. You didn't see any of these people was broke and poor. You know, except for the traveling preachers that were homeless. They traveled and they preached. That was their calling. But you saw Job you saw Shlomo, you saw King David, you saw all these different people getting this amassing. Abraham, you see all these people. But they didn't focus on getting the money. Now you saw Naaman try to do that.
And he lost out.
And you saw what happened. He had a bunch of 2 or 3 pure sheep running around where all the speckled ones were off the chain. You have something, Elder?
Yeah, just something quick. I'm glad y'all talking about that, elaborate a little deep on that, because even if you follow Yahweh and say that's something that you want, Yahweh may allow you to have it, but he's probably going to put thoughts in your head on why maybe you shouldn't have it, because it may not be good for you. So we shall prosper as our soul prospers. As we said, we follow the ways of God and change our ways, these worldly ways, and become children of the Father, fulfilling the needs that He wants us to do. So if we try to fulfill our needs all the time, we forget about Yahweh. And King David, King David was talking about, don't give me too much where, I forget you. But don't give me too little where I shall steal. So it's best to keep that happy medium in between. But since we all not the same, then we have to follow Yahweh and depend upon Him. Because suppose that you did stay for that thing, you could not get that thing, you had to go on something else. Yahweh may have said, well, my son don't need that at this time. Let me see where I can improve him. So maybe later I can give him something even better than that. Or see that he didn't need that in the first place. Right. But I need to change it and turn it to go in this direction, not that direction. Yet they pull, my servant from me. So we're supposed to become pliable, to bend whatever way Yahweh shows us to go. He does speak about that in the scripture that we're supposed to Yahweh, we can follow His eye. And the only thing that comes up to me, like, old people play football, you may growing up with them today too, but if you got a coach in front of you, and you have to be close enough to him to watch his eyes and watch his hand moves to say which way he wants you to move on that athletic field. Drop down, up, sideways, left, you have to be prepared to move when he says move. Well, this is why we in training, to learn spiritually when Yahweh tells us to move, which way we should move and how far we should move. You know?
Right.
And this is where we err a lot because, you know, even my Isha tells me sometimes, you know, sometimes you gotta remain quiet so you can try and hear a still voice that's speaking to you after you've done all this praying. So you can hear the voice that tells you the direction to go in or tell you what you should do or not do. You know, and I say that, hey, I carry that area most times, you know, because sometimes my hands are a little too busy sometimes, I'm doing something else. But we all should take a page out of that book. Let's try and hear what Yahweh has to say so we can see and hear the direction in which he wants to go. And that way our hearts won't be seeking things we should not see.
Right.
And if something comes up where my brother said earlier, we always have something else that comes up that we have to spend this piece of money and we save it for something else. Let's see if that's Yahweh's direction to try and stop us and hinder us from going in an area he doesn't want us to go at that time.
Exactly. Yeah, we know that, you know, the gifts from above, they don't come with all the problems and the issues. And a lot of times the blessings that he has for us, we holding it back. We holding it back because we refuse to prioritize. We refuse to put Yah first and then receive the reward. No, we want give me the money now and then I'll work later. And we feel that, okay, because we do work for him, that he's just going to let us do the things that we want to do and get away with it. And it doesn't work that way. And the closer you are to him, the more he's going to show you this and make a point to show you. See how all these things keep happening? You see all these problems? What? Just like with, what was it, Yahshua, the son of Nun? He's like, do you not know why you got your behind toe up by these little Africans, these little Hamites, AI or whatever? Did you not see that? You should know why this happened. You think I don't want it? My name is attached to this. You receiving blessings in abundance is me receiving glory. Because once you get it, you're going to give me glory. And everybody's going to be like, man, I wish I served Yah. So he's going to want to give you this. So when you don't get it, you have to look and stop and say, let me see counsel. Why are these little things keep popping up, just pushing me further and further and further behind? Is it A, like what the elder is saying, because I'm heading a direction? The donkey keep banging me against the wall because I'm trying to go against the angel? Or is it B, because I'm not addressing thing in its proper time and Yah's like, you are not going to pass this spot and receive this blessing until you know in your heart, your own heart, that I am first. He already knows that he's second, third place. Yah can see that, but he wants you to see that you got him second or third place so you can put that back in order so he can say, man, that was already yours. I just needed you to get this together. This is already waiting on you. And this is nothing compared to what's really waiting on you.
That's still the answer that you just said, bro.
Go ahead, Elder.
You brought it up that way because Dawid didn't see that either. Because Yahweh told him if he wanted more, I would have given you. You know, you saw your own and you knew you should have done that, but you did. You know, because he was raised up in word. You know you should have done what you did. But yet you forgot yourself. He said he wanted more, I gave you more. He didn't give him women in abundance. He didn't give him more this, more that. You understand? But his heart desired something, so he went for that and forgot about Yahweh. And what he got calamity.
Right.
And that's the problem that we don't see most of the time. You know why you want that so much or think you want it.
Right.
And you will push and push and push and don't hear Yah's voice warning you the whole time. And you become deaf in mind and spirit. And when you get that thing, you think it's a good thing. And then the results come. And you like pulling your head.
Right.
Saying, why did I do this? How am I getting out of this? Oh man, I'm in trouble. Look what I did. You see, that's the problem that we all have. We don't sit back and think before we make a move. And we get ourselves in trouble and most likely injure others in the process.
Right.
And then we injure our Father because we belong to the Father.
Right.
And put ourselves steps back instead of steps forward.
Right. And with Dawid's situation, he'd been doing his job. He wouldn't have had that problem to begin with.
Right.
He put his work aside. And when you put your work aside, the adversary like, oh, I couldn't mess with you when you were doing your work. All these servants and angels around you. But now you ain't doing your work. Now you ain't doing your work. Y'all, the angel ain't got no business with you. Because the angel over there with servants that's doing work.
In a clean place.
Ah, you have something, brother?
Yeah, you know, I realized too, a lot of people have issues seeking Yah. You know, like beginning in life, after you spent your whole life relying on and walking in your own way, they have issues fully embracing Yah, trusting in the Father, submitting to His way. And a lot of times people know, oh yeah, I believe in God. You know, all I gotta do is be a good human being. The translation of that is, I don't want to be held accountable for doing more, so I'm gonna just stay at this point right here. Exactly. Because I know it's not fully the devil. It's just a nice line I could walk.
Yeah, it's lukewarm.
You know, it's like and people think they're okay with that. But what they don't understand, and what's stopping them is that, first of all, they're scared to go the full way because more is going to be required of them, and a lot of people can understand that. You know, if somebody's in the company and they talking about, oh, we're going to promote you to CEO, some people might drop back. Like, I don't know how to do anything. I don't know how to do anything in this business. I can't be the CEO. And it's almost the same thing when you serving Yah, where it's like, yeah, you know, I saw my grandmother be righteous, and you know, you got to go to church, but what they see is that they, in their hearts, they'll have to submit. They'll have to humble themselves. They'll have to learn how to be more temperate. And that takes work, but people are spiritually lazy. That's why He came to them and called them wicked and lazy servants. Because they didn't want to do the things that Yahshua asked. They didn't want to do the things that Yahweh asked them to do. They still want to have room to do their transgressions and their iniquity. So they know that if they speak openly about the Father, more is going to be required of them. And a lot of people just don't want to walk that far. No one wants to go to the park to go exercise because they don't want to get hot and be sweaty. So it's the same thing. So a lot of people don't seek Yah because they don't want to have to drag the good works out of their soul. They want to dwell in the darkness a little bit. The light is just too much sometimes. But they have to come to terms with submission and realizing that there's going to be peace. The only peace is by seeking Yah. You can't, if you like the calamities that you're going through, and those people who are scared to walk with Yah, they're going through something. Because even the people who are walking with Yah are going through stuff. So imagine if you didn't have the Father who's telling you He's going to give you peace.
Right, but you're not going to see that on Facebook.
No.
They're not putting that stuff up there unless they got a GoFundMe account. They ain't putting that stuff up there. Let's go to Bar Midbar, Numbers chapter 27.
They trying to dodge the accountability, but just take His yoke upon you. He said to take my yoke upon you, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light.
Exactly.
It's not as hard as you think.
Right. If you dealing with His actual laws. Yeah. But the problem is people always trying to shove and add more stuff on and add more Christianity on top of the laws, like you can't drink and you know, you can't do this and you can't do that. Well, show me the Torah, show me the law. Don't show me your interpretation. Show me the law, because that's what I'm focusing on learning first and adhering. Once I can adhere to all what's written, then I can take that next step and be like, well, this is how Yahshua was applying it even better. But you got to learn this first, or else you're going to get caught in this Greek romanticism and get lost, not understanding that Yahshua wasn't speaking against no laws. Everything He was talking was coming straight out the Torah. And these laws aren't grievous, but the people of the adversary's people, because he has his own people, can make your life grievous for keeping the law. So it wasn't that the law was grievous. Keeping a Shabbat is not grievous. But this society tries to make it grievous by trying to get you to work on Saturday, by doing everything on Saturday, by the world saying, you know, hey, we can't hang out on Sunday. I got church. We're going to have to do this Saturday. But then you see the servants of the Most High bending to that. Well, you know, they're not going to be able to do anything because, well, are they worried about that with you? You don't see her missing her Sunday church so that you can hang out on Sunday? Nah, they not having it. But you got to yield to that because they got the numbers. So if the number says it's okay that gay people get married, then that's what you're going to go with. Because that's what the numbers, the masses are saying that. But in the same church you go to, they're going to read to you in the back of the book that wide is the path to destruction. But those are just words. You know, wide is the path to destruction. Narrow is the path to righteousness. So walk up this narrow aisle and put your money in the collection plate. Numbers chapter 27 by Midbar, and we're going to read verses 15 through 23.
And Moshe spoke unto Yahweh, saying, Let Yahweh, the Elohim of the spirits of all flesh, set a man over the congregation, which may go out before them, and which may go in before them, and which may lead them out, and which may bring them in, that the congregation of Yahweh be not as sheep which have no shepherd.
All right, so we had a question pertaining to that before about whether women should be leading a congregation, this, that, and the other. Now, it says point blank, set a man over the congregation. Does that mean Yahweh is sexist? No, that's Yahweh's order. He created the man for that role, period. He was created for that role. It is what it is. The foot was created to be on the floor. It is what it is. You can't sit there and argue with that. And now you're saying you're going to put a woman to lead the congregation. So she makes a decision, we're going to do this. Her husband can override that. How is she going to be a leader? Her husband like, no. What are you talking about? We're not finna go over there and go take these people land. That ain't got nothing to do with us. No, but I'm the leader. I say, no. We ain't doing that. Now the people confused, like, wait a minute, who should we listen to? This woman that's leading the congregation or her husband? Well, we're going to listen to the woman. Now, you got the whole congregation transgressing Yahweh's law. When the husband has the court, if you go 2 more chapters down in Numbers 30, the husband or the father has the authority to override everything she say. So how are you going to put somebody in authority that can be overridden by somebody? That's called a lame duck. That's what they call the president. He's not going to be here in the next term. So whatever he say is just going to be changed. It's going to be overridden. It doesn't matter. So how does that make sense to put that woman to lead? She can just be overridden. Go ahead.
Verse 18. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Take you Yeshua the son of Nun, a man in whom is the Spirit, and lay your hand upon him, and set him before Eleazar the priest, and before all the congregation, and give him a charge in their sight. And you shall put some of your honor upon him, that all the congregation of the children of Yasharal may be obedient. And he shall stand before Eleazar the priest, who shall ask counsel for him after the judgment of the Urim before Yahweh. At his word shall they go out, and at his words they shall come in, both he and all the children of Yasharal with him, even all the congregation. And Moshe did as Yahweh commanded him, and he took Yeshua and set him before Eleazar the priest, and before all the congregation, and he laid hands upon him, and gave him a charge as Yahweh commanded by the hand of Moshe.
So Yahweh always had somebody in our lives to lead us so that we be not sheep without a shepherd. So we were naturally made to have some kind of leading. The difference is now being that that we are spread apart and we're dispersed everywhere. This not one person. It's not Yadon Yasharal that sits at the top and tells everybody what to do because I am the leader and that's what we do. Those days is long gone. The Spirit is divulged and given to each person severally according to their ability. And when it's time to take counsel, even if I was in that type of leadership position, there's certain things where I'm like, okay, this is your area. This is your gift. You speak all these languages. What is this saying? You do this, you do that. That's like the president has his cabinet. He's supposed to accept counsel and wise counsel. So we were set up this way to receive counsel and give counsel, be led and to lead. This is how we were set up. So we have to learn how to do this if we're going to lead the entire world. The nations are supposed to grab a hold of us and say, hey, man, we've been lied to. What do we need to do so that we can live life abundantly? But if we don't know how to take counsel and give counsel, how are we going to lead the world? We're going to lead the world to doing the same thing it's doing now. Because this is the results of our leadership, the condition of this world. Let's go to Shemot chapter 18, Exodus chapter 18. And, you'll have certain people that say, you only take counsel from an Israelite. You only take counsel from somebody that knows this Bible inside and out. You have to know this Bible inside and out so that you can know who you should take counsel from. Because if y'all can make a donkey give counsel to somebody, what makes you think he can't use a goyim? Or even your own brother that's of your nation that don't know nothing about this book. And you're going to see a prime example here with Moshe.
Yeah,
got 2 questions. All right. And we have some questions. We'll address them real quick. It says, do we have to speak Hebrew? Okay, no, we do not have to speak Hebrew because we don't even know fully what biblical Hebrew is. All we know is what was given unto us. So at the end of the day, we don't have to speak Hebrew, but we do need to learn some Hebrew words, and we have to fashion ourselves to the best we can so that we can see the errors that were made in this King James Bible in English. And you do that by getting the Strong's Concordance. You don't have to speak Hebrew to look at a definition. So what you can do is you can go to the IsraelitesGathering.com. We got the Hebrew alphabet. We got the Strong's Concordance. We got all those different things available for you so that you can look at the English words that are written in the King James, is which we're reading now is the King James. And then you can look at the Hebrew word in the Old Testament, and you can look at the Greek word in the New Testament, and you can see the definition of that word, and you can make sure that the translators were honest with what they were saying. At least you can say, this is what that word meant in that language. And then from that point, now you can look at 3 or 4 different places saying the same thing to make sure that you're getting a proper understanding. So you don't have to speak Hebrew, but every time you say these names, you're saying Hebrew. Every time you say hallelujah, you speak in Hebrew. So we naturally speak Hebrew and don't even know it. Even some of our slang words, some of us that come from the islands in Jamaica, you getting a lot of these Hebrew words in there, and we don't even know it.
They know
the song Kumbaya, Pass By Me God.
There's another anecdote I kind of like to use too, as far as, when people say, do we have to know Hebrew? You don't necessarily have to know Hebrew, but what it does is that you have the liberty to understand more the language that the angels were speaking to
from
the
your
patriarchs
nationality.
Right. Angels were speaking to patriarchs in Hebrew, and it's almost like a camera. If you want 8 megapixels, stay at English. But if you want to understand the scriptures with even more in depth, learn the Hebrew, and it'll be like you get a whole 30 megapixel image or a more clearer image of it. You won't be seen through the glass darkly, as the scriptures say. You have a more vivid view of what the scriptures saying. Better, be easier for you to get better understandings from a scriptural standpoint. Right,
and this is part of your development. You're not going to get that right away. You got to learn what it say in English first.
Exactly.
Just like you got to learn Torah first before you can be a master of the New Testament. So follow those things. Take it in your time. You can speak. Did not the same people we read about spoke perfect Hebrew? What happened to them? They end up transgressing the law, getting us to right where we are now. So speaking Hebrew not going to make you righteous, but it'll help you understand your culture better by learning this. So you definitely want to learn a little bit of this as time goes on.
And please tell them why they should use the King James Version, not all these other versions.
Well, it's a preference. The elder is asking why we recommend the King James Version. We recommend the King James Version not because it's perfect. There's plenty of errors in it. But it has at least the strong concordance next to every word. So when they mistranslated something, you can say, no, wait a minute. This, it's saying Jehovah. But if I look up Jehovah, strong H1943, we see there that means ruin and destruction. So why would Yah give his name be ruin and destruction?
That's right.
And then I can go to a dictionary and look up the letter J and say, hey, that didn't come to the 15th, 16th century. Somebody lying. But we like to use the King James Version because of the Strong's Concordance. Just like in the Sefer writings, we don't have a Strong's Concordance for that. So there's certain translations we have to kind of just go back to Torah and say, well, based on Torah, they must have meant this. And I can't prove it by going back to the Hebrew because we don't have access to that. At least I don't have access to that.
I was just about to reference that from a prophetic standpoint, that Zephaniah 3:9, where it says, I will turn the people to pure language.
To a pure language, right.
Yah does intend to remove us from the banishment of the language that he put us in, right, as a punishment for the wickedness going on the earth, to remove that oneness from man. Like, I'm gonna have to frustrate y'all path a little bit. But in due time, Yah says, I will return to the people of pure language. So prophetically, he does plan on returning us back to the language of angels.
Exactly. Okay, who? Somebody is asking about who is Strong's. Is he a Gentile? The Strong's Concordance is just done by James Strong's. I believe he was a Goyim that wrote that as well. Just like a lot of the Goyims that came together to help with the commission to put together the King James Version Bible. But that's why you want to look at the Hebrew words. If you go to the website and you get the actual Hebrew letters, then you can see each Hebrew letter has a definition. And when you put those letters together like Ab, Aleph, Bat, when you put those together, Aleph is like the head, the strength, and then you have Bat, which is like house or inside. So you have the definition of Ab or Abba, which is father, the strength or the head inside. Now you got a definition. You got that without James Strong's. Yeah. What Strong's did is just put the number next to every word that was there and referenced it with the Hebrew words in Torah and the Dead Sea Scrolls and all the ancient scrolls that we have, so that we can have a definition. Now, some people don't like Strong's. Some people like Browns, Briggs, Denver. You know, some people like, you know, the blue letter one or whatever. You know, there's different ones, but at the end of the day, they're all giving you the same Hebrew word. And now you can take that Hebrew word. If you like Strong's, you can use Strong's definition, which is, I prefer that one because I'm more comfortable with it. But ultimately, you can go even further by looking at the definition of each letter in the word, which you'll get from the Strong's or any concordance there or Bible dictionary concordance that you have, and you can make sure that it adds together. Hebrew is mathematical. It's not like this confusion we call English. Each letter has a definition, and the definitions add together and give you the meaning. And that's why we can also go into a word and take the root word out of it and further explain that this means this. Like when you look at Hodesh for new month, they translated it to new moon. But when you take Hadash out of that, it's renewal. It's the renewal of something. Nothing in that definition has month and any root word in there. But you can go look at the word for moon and lunar month, and you can see that lunar month is the derivative of moon. You see that it ties together, so you can see, wait a minute, these two words are tied together in Hebrew. So that meaning has to be around that.
And you know, brother, I see here, I'm looking at Mr. Dre Doak, and I realize that this is someone with insight and with knowledge, you know, and the questions he asks are actually very pointed, tailored question, like, you know, to whom shall he teach knowledge? And we know that's a scriptural reference. So, you know, he's more than invited to share his knowledge, you know, being that he's someone who possesses understandings. You're welcome to share what you understand as well.
Definitely.
Those are not regular questions. Those are questions of someone
these are good. Yeah, like turning to us. So why is he turning it to a pure language? Because this is why you can't sit here and argue with somebody about Hebrew. Because we already knew the northern tribes, the southern tribes spoke different languages.
Yeah,
Shibboleth and Sibboleth.
That's right.
They couldn't pronounce the H.
Dialect.
You know? So, and then when you go to the most basic Hebrew, you look at the alphabet. Abba, Ga, Da, Ha, Ya, Cha, Ta, Za, Ka, all that. It's all Ah. Then all of a sudden you have Yahweh Shai and all these other different names. You're like, wait a minute, Yahuwah, Uwa. How you get Uwa from a Wa? From the basic, even a baby come out saying ba da 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 ba ma 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 ma. So you can argue over those type of things, and that confusion was purposely put in here to keep us from coming together to do wickedness together. So that pure language is going to be given back to us.
Righteous people.
But we have to learn the language of righteousness first before we get the language of the pure language of communication. And then talking about the Holy Spirit is the spirit of truth. The comforter, the Ruach HaKodesh. If you go into reading what Ruach HaKodesh is, the Holy Spirit, you'll see that it is the comforter, which is the spirit of truth. Language is just a way of communicating that spirit of truth, and it could be done verbally, it could be done by actions, it could be done by signs, any of that. So these are very good questions. If we have any more questions, definitely feel free to put that in there. Again, this is an open study. It's an open Bible study, and it's all about divulging that information and learning. A lot of times we even learn. We'll learn from some of these questions that people put out.
Indeed.
All right, so we're at Shemot, Exodus, chapter 18, and we're going to start this at verse 1.
When Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moshe's father-in-law, heard of all that Elohim had done for Moshe and for Yasharal his people, and that Yahweh had brought Yasharal out of Mitzrayim, then Jethro, Moshe's father-in-law, took Zipporah, Moshe's wife, after he had sent her back, and her 2 sons, of which the name of the one was Gershom, for he said, I have been an alien in a strange land, and the name of the other was Eliezer, for the Elohim of my father, said he, was my help, and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. And Jethro, Moshe's father-in-law, came with his sons and his wife unto Moshe in the wilderness, where he encamped at the mount of Elohim. And he said unto Moshe, I, your father-in-law Jethro, am come unto you and your wife and her 2 sons with her. And Moshe went out to meet his father-in-law, and did obeisance, and kissed him. And they asked each other of their welfare, and they came into the tent. And Moshe told his father-in-law all that Yahweh had done unto Pharaoh and to the Mitzrites for Yasharal's sake, and all the travail that had come upon them by the way, and how Yahweh delivered them. And Jethro rejoiced for all the goodness which Yahweh had done to Yasharal, whom he had delivered out of the hand of the Mitzrites. And Jethro said, Blessed be Yahweh, who has delivered you out of the hand of the Mitzrites, and out of the hand of Pharaoh, who has delivered the people from under the hand of the Mitzrites. Now I know that Yahweh is greater than all gods, for in the thing wherein they dealt proudly, he was above them. And Jethro, Moshe's father-in-law, took a burnt offering and sacrifices for Elohim, and Aaron came, and all the elders of Yasharal, to eat bread with Moshe's father-in-law before Elohim. And it came to pass on the morrow that Moshe sat to judge the people, and the people stood by Moshe from the morning unto the evening. And when Moshe's father-in-law saw all that he did to the people, he said, What is this thing that you do to the people? Why sit you yourself alone, and all the people stand by you from morning unto even? And Moshe said unto his father-in-law, Because the people come to me to inquire of Elohim. When they have a matter, they come unto me, and I judge between one and another. And I do make them know the statutes of Elohim and his laws.
So that's all his judgment is. These are the statutes and the laws of Elohim. Either you are on the right side or you on the left side. You on the right side or you on the left side. What does Yahweh prescribe that this be reconciled? Because it's all about reconciliation, getting things back to the proper state. Sometimes it required that person dying to bring it back to proper state. But that's all he was doing as a judge. But those laws, he didn't make this up. He wasn't saying, well, I think we should just do this. I think we should just do that. Nah, he was doing things according to the law. So Moshe's father-in-law, a Midianite, who's also a priest of Midian, obviously this brother had some kind of wisdom, because he was wise enough to say, you know, whatever thing I'm doing, that ain't it. What Moshe is doing, that's it. Yahweh is the true Elohim. So it says that a wise man will learn from wise counsel. So obviously he has some kind of wisdom here. Go ahead.
Verse 16 or 17. And Moshe's father-in-law said unto him, The thing that you do is not good. You will surely wear away, both you and this people that is with you, for this thing is too heavy for you. You are not able to perform it yourself alone. So Jethro understood what stress does. Hearken now unto my voice. I will give you counsel, and Elohim shall be with you. Be you for the people towards Elohim, that you may bring the causes unto Elohim. And you shall teach them ordinances and laws, and shall show them the way wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do. Moreover, you shall provide out of all the people able men, such as Pharaoh Elohim, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands, and rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s. And let them judge the people at all seasons. And it shall be that every great matter they shall bring unto you, but every small matter they shall judge. So shall it be easier for yourself, and they shall bear the burden with you. If you shall do this thing, and Elohim command you so, then you shall be able to endure. And all this people shall also go to their place in peace.
So look at this man's wisdom. He's saying, if you shall do this thing, and Yahweh command you so, then you shall be able to endure. So he's getting all this great wisdom. Now, Moshe could be like, who are you, you Midianite, you Cushite? Get away from me. I don't want to hear nothing you have to say. Yahweh talk to me. If Yahweh want me to do something, he going to have me do it. But no, he's listening to wise counsel here. He's like, you know what? That makes sense. It doesn't have to be thus say Yahweh for something to make sense. But okay, that can give you something to consider. That's something to consider. You best believe Moshe went to Yahweh with this. We don't have to read that. We know Moshe's character. He went to Yahweh, you know, hey, Yah, what you think? This is what I would like to do. I know you gave me the job. I ain't trying to push the job on nobody else. But this makes sense. Plus, we are to share each other's burdens. So you can be a fool and say, well, he ain't no Israelite, or he's not a black Hebrew Israelite, so I ain't listening to him, and miss wise counsel. But it's your job to validate this. You the student, you the keeper, the one bragging about, you know, you're a giver of the law and the knowledge and should be able to teach babes. You're supposed to be able to discern if that's wise counsel. Go ahead.
Verse 24. So Moshe hearkened to the voice of his father-in-law and did all that he had said. And Moshe chose able men out of all Yasharal and made them heads over the people, rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of fifties, and rulers of tens. And they judged the people at all seasons. The hard causes they brought to Moshe, but every small matter they judged themselves. And Moshe let his father-in-law depart, and he went his way into his own land.
All right. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 12. Rishon Melachim chapter 12. So you saw Moshe, who was an elder, listen to wise counsel from somebody that was more elder than him. And, you know, that's some of the things that we suffer as a nation by not really truly having the elders set up in place. A lot of the elders that started a lot of these movements came out of a Judaic, you know, what's the other, the group, the Mason type knowledge and that type of stuff. And they had some stuff, but some stuff was off. Because we had been in captivity and our culture was taken from us so long that we just had a sliver of this information. Whereas back in the day, we had elders that, you know, learned this law and were taught this law by somebody else that was taught this law, and they walked in it and they had people that they can go to for counsel. And we really didn't have that. So what we're trying to do is reestablish that type of family where we have that type of counsel. And what I'm finding is that, you know, we have elders, we have the blessing to be around one. We have one in our assembly, praise Yah. We take that counsel from them. But we're also seeing elders taking counsel from younger men. And we're seeing younger men taking counsel from other younger men that might be younger than them. Because at the end of the day, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding and righteousness ain't got no age. Nope. And the Most High is going to use whoever is necessary to keep you in the way. He knows how to preserve his servants. So we have to get rid of all that, you know, pride and pomp and circumstance and all that. And everybody has to humble themselves according to the example that was given in the New Testament about, you know, the elders being an ensample to the flock and learn how to take counsel from one another. I personally had been needing of counsel, had a brother call me for counsel, and the counsel ended up helping me. And I was the one being counseled. Now, if I was to say, I need an elder. I need somebody that can talk to me. You know, I would have missed out on the counsel that I received from the brother. That doesn't move the elders out of the way that we don't need them. But we need all the righteous counsel that we can have. All of it. Yep.
That's that multitude of counsel. There's a safety there.
Rishon Melachim, 1 Kings chapter 12, and we're going to start this at verse 1.
And Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Yasharal were come to Shechem to make him king. And it came to pass, when Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who was yet in Mitzrayim, heard of it, For he was fled from the presence of King Shlomo, and Jeroboam dwelt in Mitzrayim, that they sent and called him. And Jeroboam and all the congregation of Yasharal came and spoke unto Rehoboam, saying, Your father made our yoke grievous. Now therefore make you the grievous service of your father, and his heavy yoke which he put upon us lighter, and we will serve you. And he said unto them, Depart yet for 3 days, then come again to me. And the people departed. And King Rehoboam consulted with the old men that stood before Shlomo his father, while he yet lived, and said, How do you advise that I may answer this people? And they spoke unto him, saying, If you will be a servant unto this people this day, and will serve them, and answer them, and speak good words to them, then they will be your servants forever. But he forsook the counsel of the old men, which they had given him, and consulted with the young men that were grown up with him, and which stood before him. And he said unto them, What counsel give you that we may answer this people who have spoken to me, saying, Make the yoke which your father did put upon us lighter? And the young men that were grown up with him spoke unto him, saying, Thus shall you speak to this people that speak unto you, saying, Your father made our yoke heavy, but make you it lighter unto us. Thus shall you say unto them, My little finger shall be thicker than my father's loins. And now, whereas my father did lade you with a heavy yoke, I will add to your yoke. My father has chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. So Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam the 3rd day, as the king had appointed, saying, Come to me again the 3rd day. And the king answered the people roughly, and forsook the old men's counsel that they gave him, and spoke to them after the counsel of the young men, saying, My father made your yoke heavy, and I will add to your yoke. My father chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. Wherefore the king hearkened not unto the people, for the cause was from Yahweh, that he might perform his saying, which Yahweh spoke by Ahiah the Shilonite unto Jeroboam the son of Nebat. So when all Yasharal saw that the king hearkened not unto them, the people answered the king, saying, What portion have we in Dawid? Neither have we inheritance in the son of Yesse. To your tents, O Yasharal. Now see to your own house, Dawid. So Yasharal departed into their tents.
So because now Rehoboam, this is Shlomo's son. So Israel is still united at this point, but because he's taken counsel from his homeboys that he grew up with, instead of listening to elders, listening to people with a little bit more wisdom, he is now causing the kingdom to split according to the prophecy. Now the kingdom is split because he said, I'm not going to do it in your time, but I'm going to do it in your son's time. So now the kingdom is starting to split, and now you're going to have another king appear out of the northern kingdom, which is going to bring a whole bunch of wickedness too, all because you decide not to listen to wise counsel. Anytime you're taking the counsel of somebody saying you're going to flick somebody more just because, that's wicked counsel. There's no righteousness. And then the afflicting is your people? Go ahead.
Verse 17. But as for the children of Yasharal, which dwelt in the cities of Yehuda, yet Rehoboam reigned over them. Then King Rehoboam sent Adoram, who was over the tribute, and all Yasharal stoned him with stones that he died. Therefore King Rehoboam made speed to get him up to his chariot to flee to Jerusalem.
Yasharal ain't playing.
They turned up. They was like, man, we're not paying no tax.
They stoned this brother.
So Yasharal rebelled against the house of Dawid unto this day. And it came to pass when all Yasharal heard that Jeroboam was come again, that they sent and called him unto the congregation and made him king over all Yasharal. There was none that followed the house of Dawid, but the tribe of Yehuda only. And when Rehoboam was come to Jerusalem, he assembled all the house of Yehuda with the tribe of Benjamin, 180,000 chosen men, which were warriors, to fight against the house of Yasharal, to bring the kingdom again to Rehoboam, the son of Shlomo. But the word of Elohim came to Shemaiah, the man of Elohim, saying, speak unto Rehoboam the son of Shlomo, king of Yehuda, and unto all the house of Yehuda and Benjamin, and to the remnant of the people, saying, Thus says Yahweh, you shall not go up nor fight against your brethren, the children of Yasharal. Return every man to his house, for this thing is from me. They hearkened therefore to the word of Yahweh, and returned to depart according to the word of Yahweh.
All right, we'll stop right there. So Yahweh will allow wicked people to do wicked things, and they think they doing it for themselves, for their own benefit. But Yahweh's allowing this because he had already prophesied that this thing was going to split because of the idolatry that was done with Shlomo. So this is what happens when you refuse righteous. When you have a group of elders that are speaking, an elder deserves a double portion of honor. You can't even, according to our law, just disagree with an elder and go up and say, Elder, you're wrong by yourself. You have to get 2 or 3 people to go over it first and say, well, elder said this. And it says, thus says Yah. Am I seeing this right? And then we discuss it, and then we come together and we say, hey, the brothers and I have been looking over this, and we heard when you said this, and I think that this is wrong. Can you explain this to us, elder? And then the elder will explain, you know, that's because you're looking at English. You need to go ahead and get into Hebrew and read the Hebrew and see what this word means or whatever he says. Or he may be wrong. But he deserves that honor because Yahweh gave him that honor. That's why I despise giving the title elder to somebody who is not a true elder. Somebody 15 years above. Because that's not a title. This is something that only Yah can give. You can't give somebody 50 years of life. I don't care how much money you have. You can't give that to somebody. Man, you did a great job. Man, go on and take that 50 years, bro. Go on and take that 50.
You know you 25.
You know what I'm saying? You can't do that. So you have to give that elder that respect. Now it says, you know, the hoary head is good if it be found in righteousness. So you don't just say, well, because he's an elder, he's God now. It doesn't work that way. But you give him that honor and that respect. Now, this is a good example here. We're going to go to the next chapter, chapter 13. This is a good example here of somebody that wants to take righteous counsel from somebody who's supposed to be a prophet, but he's listening to the counsel over a man over thus says Yahweh.
You know, brother, one thing I've come to realize, and what Yah does is, you know, he tries to develop our understanding. Once we do our best to submit, then he's like, all right, let's go on to stage 2. Let's develop your understanding. Let's develop your discernment. Let's develop your judgment so that you can make proper decisions. And what I've come to realize lately is, like, a lot of the things we think is happening for our downfall, or sometimes the things we think is happening for another person's downfall, is all in Yah's will.
Right.
So we have to look and be like, man, as much as my flesh wants to say, no, this can't be, it's like Yah's like, just hold on, wait a little while, you'll see what's going on here. You know, like when you see, sometimes you see the servant get raised up to kingship, and you be like, yeah, this person don't know how to, and then you look for a while, and it's like what Yah was doing was showing that person that they're not ready for this, because all the plagues that came from them not being qualified for certain positions.
That's how we learned. Don't do that like Saul. You know? And Yah will set things up. And like you said, a perfect example, a good metaphor with that is muscle. Your muscle be in pain. The first thing we want to think is, nah, this ain't right. No, I don't want this. That's what the body wants, to avoid pain.
Indeed.
But that pain is necessary. Because out of that pain is going to come growth. It's going to come beauty and strength and endurance out of that pain. So a lot of times when we're, like you said, we're seeing things and we're like, man, how could this be? This is so painful. Yeah, surely Yah wouldn't want me to go through this kind of pain. And out of that pain is coming that strength. Because what did Saul said? In my weakness, therefore I find my strength through the Mashiach. I'm made strong in my weakness through Christ.
You know, and when we look at what we just read, everybody going up to Shechem and this whole thing with Jeroboam and Rehoboam, we're looking like, no, we can't let Yasharal just fall like that. But little do we know, Yah's looking down, and on both sides there's iniquity. So Yah's like, all right, you know what? I'm about to break this all down. Same way I did with Tower of Babel and split it up and have different languages. I'm going to split y'all And I'm going to deal with you individually, deal with your own wickedness. You are more wicked than this. So let me move this out. You know, this part of the bread got way more yeast than this part of the bread. Right. And I don't need a full bread. Let me just get this right. And to our eyes, are like, where's all this chaos and destruction going on? But we don't know that from the beginning, Yah looked on the earth and it was formless and void. And when he spoke, there was order. When he spoke, his spirit hovered over the waters, and he said, let there be light. Light came, and that's what Yah's essence is, when he makes that order out of the disorder. So when we see the chaos, we're not able to judge full chaos like that until our discernment grows and we're like, nah, I can see from a distance that, okay, I see what Yah's doing. But Yah is ahead and we're subordinate. Right. So Yah will know fully. We have to take time. Our discernment takes time, and we over time will understand fully what's going on. So we can't judge. It's a righteous thing not to judge too quickly. Right. But just give it a second, discern the situation, and then over time we realize you come to a right conclusion.
Exactly. And it goes right with what the elder was saying. Sometimes you got to be patient and wait on that still voice amidst all this destruction, just this hurricane, amidst this huge hurricane that just came, Harvey. There's that little eye in there, and around the eye is the most destruction, but right in between be the most beautiful weather you ever seen. Most quietest storm. All right, so 1 Kings, Rishon Melakim, chapter 13.
And behold, there came a man of Elohim out of Yehuda by the word of Yahweh unto Bethel. And Jeroboam stood by the altar to burn incense, and he cried against the altar in the word of Yahweh and said, O altar, altar, thus says Yahweh, behold, a child shall be born unto the house of David, Josiah by name, and upon you shall he offer the priests of the high places that burn incense upon you, and men's bones shall be burnt upon you. And he gave a sign the same day, saying, this is the sign which Yahweh has spoken. Behold, the altar shall be rent, and the ashes that are upon it shall be poured out. And it came to pass, when King Jeroboam heard the saying of the man of Elohim, which had cried against the altar in Bethel, that he put forth his hand from the altar, saying, lay hold on him. And his hand which he put forth against him dried up, so that he could not pull it in again to him.
So he shouldn't be touching stuff. He had no business touching. And then this prophecy of Josiah, this is prophesying King Josiah, who was going to restore back Yehuda back into righteousness by getting rid of the Asherah poles and all the groves they had set up, and restoring Torah back. Go ahead.
The altar was also rent, and the ashes poured out from the altar, according to the sign which the man of Elohim had given by the word of Yahweh. And the king answered and said unto the man of Elohim, entreat now the face of Yahweh your Elohim, and pray for me, that my hand may be restored again. And the man of Elohim besought Yahweh, and the king's hand was restored him again, and became as it was before. And the king said unto the man of Elohim, come home with me, and refresh yourself, and I will give you a reward. And the man of Elohim said unto the king, if you will give me half your house, I will not go in with you, neither will I eat bread nor drink water in this place.
Now, why is that? Because, he just don't like this dude. He's too stush. He don't like Northern Israel. No, there's a reason why he's not going. Go ahead.
Because he's a man of Elohim, and he received specific instruction. And not only instruction, he received a sign with the instruction. So that's even more obedience is required of you. So you better be doing the right thing. Right. Even as the man of Elohim, there's a burden and accountability on you too. You're not exempt from judgment as a prophet.
Right. And don't yoke yourself to wickedness. Do what you got to do and keep it moving, especially if Yah has other things for you to do. Go ahead.
Verse 9. For so was it charged me by the word of Yahweh, saying, eat no bread, nor drink water, nor turn again by the same way that you came. So he went another way and returned not by the way that he came to Bethel.
All right. So, we're talking about commandments. They say the 613 commandments. Well, everything that come out of Yahweh's mouth is a commandment. And this is a commandment to this prophet right here. Do not eat, drink. Don't even come back the same way you came. If Yahweh tell you that is law. That is commandment, period. Go ahead.
Now there dwelt an old prophet in Bethel, and his sons came and told him all the works that the man of Elohim had done that day in Bethel, the words which he had spoken unto the king. Them they told unto also to their father. And their father said unto them, What way went he? For his sons had seen what way the man of Elohim went, which came from Yehuda. And he said unto his sons, Saddle me the donkey. So they saddled him the donkey, and he rode thereon. And went after the man of Elohim, and found him sitting under an oak, and said unto him, Are you the man of Elohim that came from Yehuda? And he said, I am. And he said unto him, Come home with me, and eat bread. And he said, I may not return with you, nor go in with you, neither will I eat bread, nor drink water with you in this place. For it was said to me by the word of Yahweh, You shall eat no bread, nor drink water there, nor turn again to go by the way that you came. He said unto him, I am a prophet also, as you are. And an angel spoke unto me by the word of Yahweh, saying, Bring him back with you into your house, that he may eat bread and drink water. But he lied unto him.
So when an individual tells you, listen, I'm a prophet of Yahweh too, ask around. People know me. This is my city. I'm a prophet of Yah. I'm known for this. And an angel of Yahweh, the Malachim themselves, came to me and told me, this is what you need to do. Likely that's somebody you should take seriously and listen to and say, you know what, let me pay attention, because he's saying some real heavy things right here. But this is where the line gets drawn in the sand.
Yeah.
If you told me that an angel came and told you for me not to do what Yahweh said, you better go call that angel. Go bring him over here. Where he at? Go here and let me go pray to Yah. Because Yah, we got some confusion over here. And that usually means the adversary, the devil, is around. Because Yah told me, not an angel. Yah told me. It told me specifically, this is what I need to do. Or he sent an angel to me. Because he talks to prophets in a vision or a dream. So he had a vision or he had a dream from Yahweh specifically telling him this is what you do. That's what happened. Bruh, unless an angel or a vision or dream come to me right now, I'm not finna back away from the thing that Yah said to do. And that's how we treat these commandments. I don't care who say it. I don't care if Creflo Dollar come down here or oh boy that wouldn't open up his gates. What's his name? Joel Osteen, or what people want to tell you. Go do something. And God told me to say that. Bruh, I didn't get that. I wasn't on that group text. I didn't get that one. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Wow. Verse 19. So he went back with him and did eat bread in his house and drank water. And it came to pass as they sat at the table that the word of Yahweh came unto the prophet that brought him back. And he cried unto the man of Elohim that came from Yehuda, saying, Thus says Yahweh, forasmuch as you have disobeyed the mouth of Yahweh, and has not kept the commandment which Yahweh your Elohim commanded you, but came back and have eaten bread and drunk water in the place of the which Yahweh did say to you, Eat no bread and drink no water, your carcass shall not come unto the sepulchre of your father.
Okay, so you like to listen to man, right? You prefer a man give you your prophecy, right? Rather than me. I spoke to you in a vision or a dream and gave you direct instructions. But that's not good enough for you. You need to have a man tell you what to do. Okay, no problem. I'm going to send a man to tell you, except he ain't going to tell you what you want to hear. Go ahead.
And it came to pass, after he had eaten bread and after he had drunk, that he saddled for him the donkey, to wit, for the prophet whom he had brought back. And when he was gone, a lion met him by the way and slew him, and his carcass was cast in the way, and the donkey stood by it. The lion also stood by the carcass. And behold, men passed by and saw the carcass cast in the way, and the lion standing by the carcass, and they came and told it in the city where the old prophet had dwelt. And when the prophet that brought him back from the way heard thereof, he said, It is the man of Elohim who was disobedient unto the word of Yahweh. Therefore Yahweh has delivered him unto the lion, which has torn him and slain him according to the word of Yahweh which he spoke unto him. And he said unto his sons, saying, Saddle me the donkey. And they saddled him. And he went and found his carcass cast in the way, and the donkey and the lion standing by the carcass. The lion had not eaten the carcass, nor torn the donkey.
Now, I don't know I've ever seen a lion just standing next to a donkey. Or tearing up a carcass and just left the carcass. Didn't eat it. Just left it there. Right. So Yahweh is making a point here. And this is a chapter that's very dear to me, Because when you go in Flavius Josephus, it tells you what the name of that prophet was. And when you go to the order of this book, it has some significance with me personally. But what I see out of this is, don't let no man tell you otherwise what Yah said. It's going to cause you to get your behind ate up. That's the lesson that I took out of that. And because it was so unique to me, I never let that depart from me. To the point where I got kicked out of congregations. I got persecuted because I refused to let a man tell me different than what Yah says. And that's how we have to be with this word and taking counsel. I don't care who you are, how old you are, or what control you have over my situation, or what order you have in the assembly. You do not have the authority to tell me different than what Yah says. Now, if it's interpretation, then I will take it as a grain of salt. But if you're telling me to go against what's plainly written here, nah, bro. Thus said Yahweh this. You ain't got that kind of pay grade.
And brother, if you look at it too, the type of, like you said, the point that Yah is making, having the lion and the donkey stand right there next to the judgment that just took place. If Yah judged his own prophet that harshly, the house of Israel and the house of Yehuda is going to go through some hard times. Worse than the man of Elohim.
Definitely. Let's stop right there. Let's go to Yeshaya chapter 8 for the conclusion. Isaiah chapter 8. And you have also the story with 1 Shemuel chapter 28, where Saul goes to seek counsel from familiar spirits. Because Yahweh not dealing with him. And then even with the brother that was the prophet, which they give him by name in Josephus, which is Yadon. That was the prophet's name they give him, Josephus. He was eating, in the prophecy came to the brother. I'd have spit that food out, bro. I'd have tried at least.
Or petition Yahweh.
Nah, I'm out of here. But no, he was like, man, he sat there, ate his food, then walked back like it was all good in the hood.
Then petition Yahweh, like, please spare my life. Or
man, we'd have to stop the whole meal. Everybody stop right now. Hold on. We gonna pray to Yahweh. I didn't know. And I be trying to throw up that food.
Wow.
Man, Yahweh to talk to you specifically.
Yeah. I think what it does is it gives a human element to the prophets that served Yah, that we like to within our own mind think that these are perfect people. Y'all talking to you, but it was just mere men like us with a amazing gift of prophecy to have Yah speak to them, but they were subject to like passions and like temptations and like stumblings just as we are.
And they got they behinds handed to them. Ain't none of them asked for that. Nobody want to be the dude to say, hey, bro, y'all profaning the Sabbath day. Y'all finna send y'all into captivity. They stoned the brother asking for money. What you think they doing to the prophet? It says, Jerusalem, 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 you stone all your prophets. You kill everybody I send to you. So surely I send my son, they gonna reverence him. Nah, they stoned this dude and hung him from a tree.
Yonah fleeing, Yonah fleeing, and whales.
Whale ate him up, spit him out right where he needed to go. But at least Yonah repented. Like, he took getting ate up by a whale, but at least he repented. Yeshaya chapter 8, and ultimately, when it comes down to it, if they speak not according to the word, then there's no light in them. That does not mean that they have to know the word. You know the word. That's your job. That's your job to see, is the light on or is it off? That's your job. Just because the person ain't in Bible study with you speaking Hebrew and breaking this stuff down, but if they give you a righteous counsel, that's your job to know if this according to the law or not, if there's light in them. But if there's no light in them, that's not counsel for you to take.
Yeshaya chapter 8 and verse 1. Moreover, Yahweh said unto me, take you a great roll and write in it with a man's pen concerning Maher Shalal Hashbaz. And I took unto me faithful witnesses to record Uriah the priest and Zechariah the son of
Yeberechiah. And it's Maher Shalal Hashbaz.
Maher Shalal Hashbaz. Maher Shalal Hashbaz.
Hasten the booty, hasten the spoil.
And I went unto the prophetess, and she conceived and bare a son. Then said Yahweh unto me, call his name Maher Shalal Hashbaz. For behold, before the child shall have knowledge to cry, my father and my mother, the riches of Damascus and the spoil of Samaria shall be taken away before the king of Assyria. Yahweh spoke also unto me again, saying, for as much as this people refuses the waters of Shiloh, and go softly and rejoice in Rezin and Remaliah's son, now therefore behold, Yahweh brings up upon them the waters of the river strong and many, even the king of Assyria and all his glory. And he shall come up over all his channels and go over all his banks. He shall pass through Yehuda. He shall overflow and go over. He shall reach even unto the neck, and the stretching out of his wings shall fill the breadth of your land, O Emmanuel. Associate yourselves, O you people, and you shall be broken in pieces. Give ear, all you afar off countries. Gird yourself, and you shall be broken in pieces. Gird yourselves, and you shall be broken in pieces. Take counsel together, and it shall come to naught. Speak the word, and it shall not stand, for all is with us. For Yahweh spoke thus to me with a strong hand, and instructed me that I should not walk in the way of this people, saying, say you not a confederacy to all them to whom this people shall say a confederacy. Neither fear you their fear, nor be afraid.
Because we trying to turn to all these other nations for our protection. Instead of saying, well, why are we needing to be protected? We're needing to be protected because we transgressing the law. So Yahweh is going to break down everything. And it's the same thing with us right now. We trying to run over there to Israel feeling like we going to get some kind of protection over there. No, you got to address the issue. Why are we in captivity? Why are we in punishment? That is your focus. And we have to also understand it ain't about you repenting, just you. The nation has to repent. The earth can't even be touched till the servants are sealed. This is part of our job to do that, to help the servants get sealed. So every time we try to run to somebody to help us out of a situation, run to our credit cards, run to our employers, run to pull out our 401k, run to do everything else except for looking at why do these things keep happening? How are my actions pertaining to the righteous actions of this book? And until we do that, Yah's going to continue tearing down everything you try to put in front of yourself to not look in the mirror at what it is that you need to address.
Verse 13, sanctify Yahweh of hosts himself, and let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. And he shall be for a sanctuary, but for a stone of stumbling, and for a rock of offense to both the houses of Yasharal, for a gin and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem.
In other words, don't fear the trouble that's coming your way. Fear the Most High. Look at what am I doing against the Most High. And if you're not doing anything against the Most High, then you really got nothing to fear at all. Because whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And in the end, it's going to be well with you if you in line with the Most High. But let him be your fear. Let him be your dread. Don't fear the police. Don't fear the nations. Don't fear the white man. Don't fear, your brothers and sisters that don't like what you say. Fear the Most High. That will cause you to walk in a way that will make you have peace with your enemies. Go ahead.
Verse 15, and many among them shall stumble and fall and be broken and be snared and be taken. Bind up the testimony, seal the law among my disciples. And I will wait upon Yahweh that hides his face from the house of Jacob, and I will look for him. Behold, I and the children whom Yahweh has given me are for signs and for wonders in Yasharal, from Yahweh of hosts, which dwells in Mount Zion. And when they shall say unto you, seek unto them that have familiar spirits, and unto wizards that peep and that mutter, shall not a people seek unto their Elohim for the living to the dead? To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. And they shall pass through it, hardly bestead and hungry. And it shall come to pass that when they shall be hungry, they shall fret themselves and curse their king and their Elohim and look upward. And they shall look unto the earth and behold trouble and darkness, dimness of anguish, and they shall be driven into darkness.
Right, and that's that spiritual blindness, that spiritual darkness. So if they speak not according to the word, then there's no light in them. We have the light in us. We have the Mashiach. We made that covenant. We took that immersion. We spent that time in this word. We repented. We regenerated. So that light is in us. So when we give counsel to people, it needs to be according to the word. Period. Now, other people that haven't received that information, they may be able to counsel without the word. But because we have that, we need to teach people why we have this counsel, why we understand it, how we know this is right. And you can only do that by showing them the word. And what we see countless times is people constantly telling people what to do and telling people how things are done. And don't give no sources, no references, because they want to look like they just some wise person. But how are you going to teach somebody like that? How are you going to turn around and be able to teach somebody that is in this word if you don't show where you're getting your sources from? And you'll see that all the time. People come with all this mystical and all this good knowledge. And I can't even validate it because you won't even show me where you're getting your stuff from. You might have got it out of the Torah. And that's lazy teaching, that's lazy learning, and that's lazy counsel. We got to study this word, know it. And when we find a source that has some kind of wisdom and we want to give it, give the source so your brother can learn how to fish too. And he can learn how to feed somebody else some stuff. That's why we need to learn how to receive righteous counsel. And we have to prepare ourselves to offer righteous counsel. So that's all we're going to do today. Any last questions or comments before we close in prayer?
When it comes to dealing with people that are not in the word necessarily, we should do our best not to shun them or, act harshly against them. But like what Yahshua said, Yah causes the rain to fall on the righteous and the wicked alike. We should do our best to show that, when you come to Yah, there's love, mercy, grace, and peace there. And for the people who are on the outsides or on the outskirts and outside the temple, show them that, I know the world is a rough place. When you come to the house of Elohim, you're going to receive that forgiveness that you're looking for. You're going to receive wise counsel. You're going to know that there's love there. So the same way Yah says, don't abhor the Mitzrite, for you are a stranger in his land. Although the Mitzrite did, oppress you while you were there, Yah says, don't treat them funny. So same for the people outside the gates. You don't have to treat them funny because the stuff they're going through is already punishment enough. But let them know, look, if you repent, if you humble yourself and you turn from your wicked way, there's nothing but peace. There's nothing but goodness. There's nothing but love on this side. There's learning. There's chastisement, but it's not chastisement in a way that's going to crush you and kill you like it's getting ready to do out there. Come into the household of Elohim. Bring yourself under his yoke, and he will mold you into the person that he needs for you to be. Right. That you won't be destroyed.
Right. And what do we think the Most High is going to do? You look up there and you see your brother stumbling around in the dark, and you a walking lantern, and you're like, nah, because he's in the dark. I'm going over here where all these lights are. That's the whole reason you are seeing that. Exactly. He said, if you faint in times of adversity, your strength is weak. And you think Yahweh will see that you didn't do it and he's not going to consider that? That's a lot of us will lose our salvation in that because we study for selfish reasons so we could benefit, but we didn't want to put ourselves out there to help other people because we didn't want any of the kickback. We just wanted to make sure our life was great. And you're going to be held for that, just like the man that had the big barn. And he had filled it up with all this stuff, and he thought, oh, I got all this great stuff. Man, Yah is blessing me. He built a bigger barn.
Oh, man.
His life was required right then and there because you didn't realize this stuff ain't for you. That's for to feed the rest of the people. But you're responsible for it because I put it in your hand.
Indeed.
So that's a very good point, brother. All right. Let's go ahead and close in prayer. All brothers remove their head coverings. All sisters pray with their heads covered.
I felt so inadequate without some head covering today, but I was like, dang, man, not a mitre, not a turban, nothing, just naked.
Yahshua, you're covering, brother.
Indeed.
All right, Brother Jonathan, can you, since your head is uncovered, can you go ahead and pray?
All right. Heavenly Father, Yah, Almighty Spirit of all light that is in the universe, oh Yahweh, we thank you, oh Yahweh, for this moment to sup at your table, to be cared for, Yahweh, for you to take us in the palm of your own hands, Yahweh, and spoon feed us all that it is that we need to know, Yahweh. We're thankful for this righteous counsel. We're thankful to be able to meet every week, Yahweh, and every Shabbat, and cultivate the riches of our soul, and for you to till the soil of our hearts, Yahweh, and you plant the seed of faith so that the fruits of peace can be born within us, Yah. We thank you, Yahweh, for everything. We come toward you with a heart of gratitude, and we pray that you equip us for every good work that we need to do, and that you give us the understanding and the temperance, Yahweh, to even learn on the fly for the times that we don't know exactly how to respond to every situation. Just remind us temperance, peace, seek peace and pursue it, and we will be given the answers that we need, Yahweh. These are just the ground level things that you need for us to know, and we just thankful to be able to know that, so that we can be profitable unto you. So Yahweh, we thank you, and may you watch over us and our families as we return unto our respective places. Bless those who are listening, and may they also be lights unto the nations, Yahweh, that we may be brought back into one fold and under one shepherd in you. In your Son Yahshua's name we pray. Amen.